What is up, everyone? It's your host again, Carlos Ponce, and this is episode 12 of season 2 of Advancio Talks. We're live and we have got Peter Schawaker, the CEO of Nearshore Cyber, with us today. And I'm going to let him introduce himself in a minute. Thank you, Peter, for being here with us. I just want to say, folks, that if you're just discovering us, welcome to the show. And if you've been here since the beginning, you know what we are about. We've been here since 2022. And here's a quick rundown. Advancio Talks is where we sit down with the people actually building the future of business and technology. So, not just talking about it, but doing it. CTOs, founders, the folks making decisions that matter. So whether you're drinking coffee, commuting, or just curious about what's actually happening in tech, stick around. Peter has got some stories and insights you won't hear anywhere else. So let's jump in. Peter, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Great to be here, Carlos. Thanks so much for inviting me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's been a while. So, Peter, we always start by asking our guests with a little introduction about themselves. So, if you don't mind, can you tell us on the audience, tell us a little bit about you. Who is Peter Schawaker, and a little bit about your journey, your background, anything you want to say about yourself?
Yeah, professionally, I spent the past 28 years in cybersecurity. The last 3 years building Nearshore Cyber, which is mostly a staff and recruiting company, but we also do professional services. But I focus exclusively on cybersecurity and AI, which is like inevitably part of like everything that happens. A lot of that work has been community building. So we operate a community on the Circle platform. We do lots of educational events and mentoring, basically finding ways to scale professional development and get people to work together and forget about the craziness in the world and build. And we love it. We absolutely love that part of the business. And yeah, we connect businesses in the United States with cyber talent in places like Mexico, increasingly in APAC, in places like Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, little India, and we can do it. We like to work on Greece and South Africa.
Interesting. South Africa, huh?
Wow. I have some friends in Cape Town, and they're like, "You should recruit here." I'm like, "All right, for you." And there's great, like anywhere you look in the world, you find value. You find people who have something different.
Right.
And that's it's a lot of time it's labor of love. Sometimes it's just labor, but we get to meet fascinating people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So great, thank you, Peter, for sharing a little bit about you. And so let's get started. And I would like to start by asking you the following. So, first of all, I mean, I've known you for a few years, ever since we touched base for the first time, and I know that you have spent at least 2 decades in cybersecurity leadership. So, what is the biggest shift you have witnessed in how companies approach security talent acquisition?
When cybersecurity, before cybersecurity was cybersecurity, it was information security. It was really just a kind of a branch of IT that was reserved for people who wanted to take on the new kinds of problems in IT. I mean, most of us were network security or systems administration, and so we were all grounded in tech, and we would take on security because it was just needed to be done. Nobody sought out a cybersecurity career or an information security career. You just found yourself there. A lot of people came into IT through the business, but mostly we were interested in building systems and networks and then protecting them. That was kind of the order of operations. Over time, there have been attempts to create a profession. We do not. There's no such thing as a professional cybersecurity. The field is too young.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's actually been. I started in 1998 at Citi as a tech grader on a temp job.
Wow.
It was supposed to last 6 weeks. I was supposed to document firewall processes at Citi, and I liked the people I worked with, and I liked what they seemed happy. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? And how did you learn to do that? And and they would show me diagrams of their labs, and I would ask, what should I read? And they say, well, get this book and that book. And I would buy those books and I would bring those to the office, and people would say, did you read those things? I would say, yes, I read those things. And they would start giving me little tasks. And before I knew it, I was building the first SOC at Citi. I had no idea what I was doing, but they didn't either. And I was pretty good at getting stuff done. And over time, there's been an attempt to create points of entry into cybersecurity that skipped over the tech. Like a lot of people will ask, do I need to learn to write code? Yes, you do. Do I need to know Linux? Yes, you do. Do I need to know networking? Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so certain things have remained stable. The expectations about how you build a career have changed. And that's caused incredible amount of trouble. The magnitude of the problem, which is driven partly by threat actors, but mainly by the burgeoning complexity and value created by IT,
Mm-hmm.
has led to demand for more cybersecurity capability. And the solution for that, unfortunately, was let's get more people in. And
Yeah.
those people were there were attempts made to create career paths that start people's career in cyber instead of starting with the foundational work. And so, in some respects, we've accomplished things in this industry. The internet functions, businesses can use information technology and achieve their goals and pursue their missions and stay in business. I think
Right.
we practitioners deserve some credit for not letting the whole thing fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
But we've also gotten an awful lot of things wrong. And that's one of the reasons I shifted from, I'm an ex-CISO. Most of the time, I like to think of myself as a former cybersecurity professional because most of what I do is business these days. On the other hand, I do some delivery every now and then because I'm not bad at it and I can make some money at it and I enjoy it.
Uh-huh.
People ask. But, the, the, the attempts at professionalization have not succeeded. For one thing, we don't have licensure, right? Lawyers get licenses, doctors have licenses. My accountant, she's a CPA. She has to have some credential from a third party that has some teeth that can take it away. We have no such thing as cybersecurity, so we're all kind of winging it. But the process of figuring it out has been important, I think, and that's one of the things I like working on. Big problems.
Yeah. You mentioned fulfillment and sometimes I hear you because sometimes I have to decide whether something in my business, something that I want to get in my hands on myself, or I should just hire somebody to do
Mm-hmm.
it. And it's a choice, right? It's what do I do? Do I make money or do I have fun? Right? So I totally feel you. But all right, so here's another thing. I was thinking that you say that based on the information about you, you say you're rewriting the playbook, okay, on cybersecurity talent. So, what was fundamentally wrong with the old playbook?
It wasn't one. I mean, not rewriting it yet. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I'm actually,
Okay.
I have a project in mind. It even has a code name. I call it Aramis because I like the Hermes myth. Hermes was the only guy who could go to the underworld and come back.
Okay.
I also have a thing for bats. I have a tattoo of a bat. I'll show you, but the people end of the business is one that has certain contradictions in it. For one thing, talent acquisition lives in HR. HR is basically about compliance, and it's important. talent acquisition is about marketing, and marketing and compliance are oil and water. This was pointed out to me by a contract recruiter working for Amazon, recruiting for PCI assessment people. And we had a candid conversation about like why things were so screwed. This is before I got into recruiting. It's like 5 years ago. And true enough, like I'm an external recruiter. The internal talent acquisitions teams typically cannot just like don't want to deal with me at first. So I have to prove myself to them. I have to prove myself to the business leaders who do call me in. Like usually I get called in by the CISO, right? Or I get called in by whoever owns like P&L for a managed service, something like that. I then have to like, again, sell to the TA team. At the same time, I'm selling to candidates. So we have this like we have kind of three markets. We have a B2B thing with the people who call us in. Those are the cybersecurity leaders. We do a B2C, business to consumer play with the candidates. And then we have a really typically like, at least at first, thorny set of political matters that have to get worked out where I have to prove like, I'm here to make your life easier. I am going to charge for my services. I only charge clients, by the way. I never charge candidates. But that's just an example of where the contradictions are. It's why we do so much community development, because I have to prove to the candidate side, to the sellers of labor, that we're different and we care about them. And we do, but I got to care a lot about a lot. I care about 8,000 people. We have 2,076 people in our community-owned circle, which is linked off of the website, by the way, the little button. So we have to build relationships there, and at the same time, we have to like much of the time teach people how business works. So like an example of that is a limited length podcast I'm about to start producing in a couple of weeks about the business of managed security services, because that's my favorite customers are the people who make money with security, like the managed security services players, which I was a participant in for a long time. I don't run one now. It's a very hard business. But again, one of the contradictions that we have here is you have people who are trying to sell the protection of value and the reduction of risk or the management of risk on one side. And you have other people who are like concerned with completely different risks, right? The risk that they're not going to hit their sales number, the risk that the risk that there's going to be a market failure in the business. Like, so all these things sort of swirling around. My job is to understand all of them, and to provide a perspective that comes from 28 years in cyber. I was at Earthlink at the very beginning, like 1996. I was at the beginning of like unlimited dial-up for $28 or $20 a month.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so we've gone through. You could say like three. We're in the third revolution in IT. The first one was consumer internet and business get on the internet. The next was cloud, and now AI. And the AI is like orders of magnitude, bigger than the other two put together. Add the PC revolution to that, maybe that's 4. It's thrilling. It's funny to see people freak out because we're actually hands-on with this stuff. We run a user group on Tuesday nights called Calling All Vibe Builders, which is
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Calling All Vibe Builders. It's like vibe coders, but we also do like we do all kinds of stuff with AI. We don't just write code. I mean, my website is like I vibe coded that. I'm pretty proud.
Okay.
But anyway, I don't know. I lost train of thought. Get me back on the train.
Back on the train. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna try to get back on the train again here. So let's we're talking about in general. We're talking about global cyber talent or what I called elite security expert from emerging markets. So everyone talks about, and this is what I hear a lot. I'm not an expert in cybersecurity, or I'm not even an engineer. I've just been in tech, in communication and other areas, but specifically in tech for many years. And I've heard a lot of things. And one of these things that I've heard is that everyone talks about the cybersecurity talent shortage. So let me ask you a question. Is it really a shortage or are we looking in the wrong places?
People don't even know where to look. Like if I were an electrician, if I'm in the United States, at least, and we're both in Mexico, so like we don't have this advantage. In the United States, if you need an electrician, like they have a license, and that license is provided by an authority that can take it away. If I want a doctor, I go to I look at reviews, but if somebody's got an MD, they're probably okay. In cybersecurity, we don't have the advantage of credentials that mean anything, right? And so, let me say a little bit about the advantage that we have. Like, it's still a wide open thing. Cybersecurity is pretty it's pretty fluid in terms of the tech. People are still trying to figure out what it is and how it operates. I happened to land in cybersecurity operations, what we call SecOps now for short. SecOps has the appearance of structure, but doesn't always have the reality structure. By the way, I'm going to jump ahead to some of Carlos's other questions. He prepared me extremely well. Like, his questions are awesome. And I want to talk about one that you wrote about, and it was like, what's the greatest assumption that people make? And it is an assumption that's made particularly around SecOps, which is that it is a factory. The typical, anybody who's come in contact with a SOC or in any way knows that it's usually talked of in terms of like level 1, level 2, level 3. That structure comes from call centers. So the assumption is that security operations functions that way. It doesn't, actually. The first person to get an alert is the first person to come in contact with a malicious, intelligent adversary who means to do them and the organization harm. And so you take the least experienced person, pit them against somebody who's quite experienced a lot of the time, and then we expect things to not go badly, to be optimistic about it.
Right.
And so, going back to the question of like fixing the talent business, one of the things we have to do is look at the fundamental structures and processes of cybersecurity and cybersecurity operations, which is a part. Right, cyber is much bigger than SecOps. SecOps gets all the attention because it's easy to create training courses that you can resell online, like it's a racket. But security includes like identity and access management is really where it's at. A lot of people who work in IAM don't even call themselves security; they say identity and security. I'm on the board of directors of a company called the Identity Defined Security Alliance, whose part of their mission is to correct that assumption. And to get people's beliefs in order. But we really need to make structural changes. What that would allow us to do is catalog capabilities. And when we have a catalog of capabilities, we can look at what do we have, what do we not have, what do we want to have, what do we want to build, what do we want to hire out. So when people go to the labor market, usually they, like a hiring manager goes to the CISO gets budget. How they do that is like more alchemy than chemistry, right? Job description that gets provided, usually it's like the last one with a couple of tweaks, usually stuff added on. People don't know how to write job descriptions because they don't know what the job is. Or if they do know what the job is not what it should be. Right? So then we have that provided through talent acquisition. Talent acquisition posts it. Maybe they send it out to agencies like mine. And then on the other side, so that's the demand side. On the supply side, the job hunters, what do they have? Resumes and cover letters. Cover letters are a really weird thing if you don't have envelopes and stamps. Like, I remember, do you ever like send a resume to a company and you had a cover letter and it said, to whom it may concern, please provide this to the Human Resources Department, pertains to this kind of job. And that's what the cover letter was for. Maybe say a little more, but that's what it was. It's all electronic now. You shouldn't have to have a cover letter, right?
Right.
So you have this sort of free form thing in the form of a resume, and no one really knows what's supposed to go into one. And then you have You might have an application that is mainly for compliance purposes and the convenience of the recruiter, right? And I say convenience because a lot of the things that are asked at the beginning, like when you first fill it out, they don't need that until they do an offer letter. And you're probably not going to get one of those, right? So there's like this really weird set of, we hire and get hired by traditions, not by logic, not by reason, not by efficiency. Like, let me give you an example. One of the things that we did is, it's not part of sort of my grand plan, but it's a little tactical thing. I write my own job posts. So we have an applicant tracking system. It's in our website. You hit careers, and it'll take you to this fairly ugly thing. You can put in you can fill out the part about education and job history and all that stuff, but I don't make it mandatory. It's the minimum that I ask for, so that I can make a decision about, am I going to ask for a 15-minute interview with you? And usually in that 15-minute interview, I can get a feel. One, it's a test, like you're actually going to do the interview or not. Are you going to show up? About a third of my interviews don't show up. I mark them as banned, never deal with them again, didn't show up for interview. Cool, I'm moving on, right? So there's a little test along the way. But I just want to be able to make a decision, am I moving forward or not? Interestingly, if you come from SecOps, you know that you're always trying to make you have two options on every decision, and it's all decisions. I get an alert. Do I continue to work on this, or I'm sorry, three things. Do I continue to work on this? Do I drop it, or do I escalate? That's it. I have the same ones. I get an application. Okay. Do I need to do more research on this? I need to look this person up on LinkedIn. Am I going to do analysis from my triage of an application? Okay, I'm good. I'm ready to decide. Am I going to reject? Right. Send a note saying we have carefully considered your application and found you wanting. Now, by the way, I always invite everybody to our community because I want to give people a second shot. Everybody gets in. Well, almost everybody gets in there. Again, there's some knuckleheads that I don't invite, right? The third option is an escalation. The escalation is to whom? If it's my partner, Laura, who does a lot of the intake stuff, she escalates to me. If it's me, escalation means they go on the long list or the short list. Or if they're like really good, high priority, right? Or the opposite of severity, high opportunity, I'll send it straight to the client. I'll be like, hey, client, like you got to talk to this candidate. She's awesome. Right? We need to jump the line on this one because they're great, right? That's kind of like the escalation that we do in the SOC. Same kind of process. But if I ask for a lot of junk at the beginning, it's like having an overloaded alert. Now, I should say, like I've only been doing the staff and recruiting thing for 3 years. Before this, I was a customer of some recruiting firms and from internal TA, multiple companies. And when I came into this, one, I thought it'd be easy. And two, I was like, I want to provide the kind of service that I would want as a customer. Now, I do some contracting, so I do hire people for us and on behalf of our clients. But I wanted it to be like that. I work with talent acquisition or recruiters who would send me like stacks of crappy resumes that like fit the bill in terms of the keywords. Fine. Years, whatever. A lot of the time the candidates' applications were fraudulent. Like, be honest, it's a really good way to get banned from my firm is like lying and stuff. Because I can tell, I find out. But there were recruiters who would very carefully assess the candidates before they would send them to me. Now, most of the time they were going on referrals. Like they would call people who knew, like they would work the network and find out through the grapevine if somebody was any good. I do that stuff too. We maintain a network because it's, open source intelligence and some of it not so open. But I also do something that I didn't know was a mistake. Like I actually committed an expensive error right from the beginning. And I didn't know I was doing it wrong until about the beginning of this year. I do my own tech interviews. Some of them last like 2 hours, right? I got more efficient. Some of them last 20 minutes and like, dud, ain't happening. right? Or sometimes 10 minutes in, I'm like, this person's a wizard. Like, I want to deal with them forever, right? But I do tech interviews so that my clients don't have to do as extensive a technical interview. I'll like collect interview questions from clients, put them into mine, produce, a roster and all that stuff, and have questions that are intended to elicit not just what people know, but like what they're about, what they really care about. Um, so anyway, those are some of the sort of tactical stuff I do to try and like rewrite the playbook. I do have a more sort of technically oriented effort. And I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned this thing called Aramis, where I'm working on some tools, which I will vibe code to do comprehensive discovery on the client side, comprehensive capabilities discovery on the candidate side, and find ways to do more precise quantification.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like resumes suck. LinkedIn profiles aren't much better. At least they're structured, and I can see who you know. And that says a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can see what people post. I read those. Some people, be careful what you post. Post good stuff.
Yeah.
Love good stuff, right? Candidates, same thing. I will look at what the clients post. I look at the clients' attitudes and how they do business and what they care about, because I'm trying to I'm not just doing, I'm not just going to go by the job description, because usually they're as bad as the resumes.
Yeah, I used to, honestly, I used to do that myself. I commit that mistake of just when posting something, just speaking my mind freely, and it read as if I were venting. It's like, and I said to myself, I got to stop doing this, because this is not what the social media is for. It's
Well,
for something else,
there's
right?
actually there's something to be said. Like if you read Seth Godin, Seth Godin, the marketing guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a wonderful book called Tribes, and one of the things he talks about is the value of polarization. Like not everybody can be in the tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing is be in one, find one. But
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be insides and outsides. I'm often accused of being a gatekeeper. Like not everybody belongs here. Sorry, if you were told that you should be in cybersecurity and you weren't informed accurately or
Mm-hmm.
fully, somebody conned you. Most of us don't know if we really belong in cybersecurity until we've been in it for a few years. I wasn't very good at it for the first 10 years. I'm slow.
Mm-hmm.
I am completely without talent. I do one thing, and that's work hard, and I don't quit.
Right,
That's two things. I can't do math. Um,
right.
but um, but anyway, yeah.
Okay, Peter, we were coming up on time. They say that time
Mm,
flies when you're having fun, right? So this is not no exception. But we still have time for a couple more questions, and I would like to
okay.
focus on the next one, which is
Mm.
specifically about uh, intellectual property. So, what would you say to a company that worry about intellectual property security when working with nearshore cybersecurity teams?
It hardly ever really matters, and that's usually pretty easy to dispel when you consider where your data already is. Like a lot of years ago, I was living
Hmm.
in San Miguel de Allende. I was working for a major healthcare organization starting a project, and they're like, I asked if we could bring in somebody from Sweden, like great, so engineer, and they're like, oh
Hmm.
no, everybody's got to be in the States. I'm like, I got a problem, but we just didn't talk about it. And I found out like that day that all of their mail was in Bengaluru, it's in India. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I can't bring in this guy from Sweden who's like really good and inexpensive. All of your exchange is hosted in a data center in India. Like, is it really a problem? I hear this a lot with healthcare, and like, I'm like AstraZeneca is in Mexico,
Hmm.
Pfizer's in Mexico. It's like you go to some places, you throw a rock in any direction, you're going to hit a healthcare company that people think of as a U.S. or European brand. So, like, the question I would ask is like, does it really matter? A lot of the time, it's not about the person I'm talking to is not the one with the problem. They're afraid somebody else will, and they don't. So much of this is political. So much of it is political, and it's internal politics within the company,
Hmm.
and they think they might have to expend political capital because of the foreignness thing. And a lot of it is just racist. Like racism is all over the world. The United States has its own particular flavor of it. I think that in cyber anyway, Nearshore Cyber has made a serious dent in the problem of racism in cybersecurity. Like, I think we've made progress. People, and I hear it directly and indirectly that people like Mexico hits the list. People speak. Another thing I see is a greater respect for Indian cybersecurity workers. The idea that like the people that you work with in India are somehow like not creative or whatever. It's like, it's always been false. It's just not true. There's an incredible amount of like intellectual ferment and inventiveness in emerging markets all over the world. But I see like incredible minds in Mumbai where I'm doing a lot of business right now.
Indeed, definitely. So the last question that I have that we have time for, unfortunately, is the following, and this is of course about the future, right? The trends. So looking at current trends, what would you say is the ideal cybersecurity team structure? How's it going to look like? All things considered, AI and all the trends that we're witnessing these days. What is it going to look like in 10 years? 5 years or 2 years? What does the future hold?
Yeah. Well, I hope that mid-size and up. So I mostly deal with like mid-market. I don't do SMBs. I am a small business, so I don't deal with companies my size. In the mid-market or on up, you're going to see more centers of excellence where you have people who have deep domain expertise in the principles of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, in the end, is actually really simple. It's like the more time you spend here, the more you see the patterns. You're like, zero trust is really like it's not new. It's a return to first principles. It's taking seriously things like principle of least privilege and the idea that you're probably owned right now. Like, we were all saying it. Now everybody believes it because John Kindervag was smart enough to actually put it into words people could get. And so I think you're going to see sort of concentrations of smarter and smarter people, and those people are going to have more and more influence and more power thanks to AI, and hopefully because of better organizational structures. All technological problems or all inhibition of technological progress comes from the need that people have to like reorganize themselves in their thinking. The big problem we have right now is we're still getting over COVID. Pretty much everywhere you look, every problem that you see can be traced back to the fact that we saw a lot of people dying and sick. And a lot of people are still sick. Americans have an especially hard time with this because they cannot cope with death. Mexico, we're great at death. We're really good at death. We have the most amazing social, community, and individual rituals when it comes to death and dying. And the United States, unfortunately, it's like, oh, you go to the funeral and you go back to work. People don't heal. And so that has to get worked out. I think in time, 10 years sounds crazy, but I think that's the length of the recovery from the pandemic.
Right, exactly. Great. Final words of wisdom. If you were advising, let's say, a tech CEO or CTO today on building a security organization, what's the one strategy that they would need to implement immediately? And we're going to close with that.
It's more of a design principle. Remember your value to the business and make sure that you can communicate in those terms. Like one of the best, I think, perspectives to have is finance and accounting. People talk about I don't pay any attention to cybersecurity degrees whatsoever. I really like people who have business backgrounds, sales backgrounds, the humanities. Like, some of the best people I've hired were like high school teachers. I would really love to find some anthropologists. Those people know how to deal with uncertainty and measure it.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, in terms of talent, look for people who are not taking the path that you were sold as the path. because the path is, it's always different. Like if somebody asked me what my path is, I'd have to say, well, this is what it was, but it closed behind me the moment I stepped in front of it. And yours will too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got questions, Peter, from the audience, as a matter of fact. And actually, where we have listeners from as far as Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe. I've never pronounced it correctly, but you get the gist. So, and we also have a question. I'm just going to read it because it's too long to post. It says, um, by Shashank Maria. I hope I got that right.
I know Shashank. Good to see you.
Oh well, there you. Okay, there
I bring a whole crew. Like most of these people I
Yeah.
know, they're my friends.
Yeah, it seems like you got quite a followership. So just like coming some AI tool in cybersecurity field, like recently pen testing tool like XBOW comes, which take first posting on. Let's see if let's see if we could just display the whole question because I think it's interesting. Which takes first posting on HackerOwn like that? What you want to say for upcoming generation? What
Yeah,
extra things he needs to add in?
yeah. Learn. I mean, make sure you've got the basics and stay up with the basics. I mean, some of this stuff doesn't change. Is like you get on a Linux command line today, it's going to be pretty much the same Linux command line it was 10 years ago, or Unix command line. Like there's some differences, but you can cope. But offensive security is in an interesting spot, especially tough one, because there's so much leverage that can be gained with AI. Now, there are massive opportunities with AI, right? So get hands-on with AI, start with how to build things with it. Like if you're protecting stuff, you got to know what you're protecting and how it works under normal conditions. If you are fond of history and philosophy and the philosophy and history of science, read Thomas Kuhn's book, The History of the Structure of Scientific Revolutions, in which he talks mostly about what he calls normal science, which is about where you go through periods where you have progressively finer and finer measurement to prove or disprove theories, and they over time prove the theories more and more and more, and then you reach a point where there is like an incommensurate conflict with a theory, and then you have a revolution. We are in a period where we are dealing with a revolution in AI, but we're also dealing with a kind of normal state, and there are people who are on one side in terms of understanding the incredible opportunity and understanding the shape of the disruption, and you have people who are trying to hold back and saying no, AI is bad, like stay away from it. I've lived through, like I said, 3 or 4 of these now. I know how they roll. You better get on the AI train because the other one's just sitting at the station and you're going to lose it. But there's like a whole other kind of computing. As for pen testing, specifically, HackerOne is a bug bounty program. And that's another one of these little niches in cybersecurity that people sort of like gloss over. If you're pen testing, you know it. I think there are opportunities there, but you're going to be in a position where you can actually achieve a lot more quickly. Here's the one sort of piece of tactical advice. Every time you're faced with a manual thing, ask if you can, in the same way that like system administrators say, could I script this? Ask yourself, like, should I be doing this with AI and learning how the AI could handle it? It might not do it well, but maybe it's your prompts suck, right? So acquire new skills. Same as anything.
Great. One more from Victor Ludolfo Mesa Morales. What do you think about using AI tools for recruiting?
That's a great question. Victor, I should have seen you coming, man. He's a friend and a colleague. I don't use AI for much in terms of like I don't use it for sifting. Like I use pretty basic keywords when I want to like create a short list. Like I use LinkedIn. Actually, use LinkedIn Sales Navigator a lot because I can filter by like time of experience and stuff like that. I use it to rewrite resumes because most of the resumes I get are garbage, and the ones that aren't garbage I need to brand under my brand. and I use it for thought leadership and stuff like that. Basically, it gives me I do a lot of like ideation with it. Like, so if you go to our website, you'll see what amount of books, they just got really big. That's a combination of my notes and Claude, and then a lot of revision, and then some manos to put it all together. So it's like, I use AI all the time, but I don't use it in the place where like most recruiting agencies use it, because I want to talk to people. And I think it's important. One of the things that people don't notice, and it's just internal, but I think is worth mentioning, is that when someone comes to an interview, they're suffering. Like, it's nerve wracking. Even if it's not, they're spending their time. They're making a sacrifice for me and my client, and they're probably not going to get anything out of it but some advice. So I give advice. I also make a point of doing them live and providing a recording a lot of the time. And I give a recording to the client. Why? Because the candidate needs to see that I am making a sacrifice, or that Louder, my partner, is sacrificing something. So we tell the truth about what we think. Compliance people will say, you're crazy, you're going to get sued for that. I'm like, well, it's my opinion. You can't sue me for my opinion. Nobody even tried. They could try, I guess. But you can't AI sacrifice. It's one of the great things about AI. They don't suffer, which is awesome.
I hear you totally. So
I think we have lost Carlos's network. I'm pinging, and I'm good. Let me see. Can we get any other questions in the chat? I don't know if anyone can hear me. So, see, hello, Zimbabwe. Actually, I have a friend in Singapore, comes from Zimbabwe, and he's lived in Singapore since he was a kid. Well, I think we're like at the tail end, and I think Carlos's stream might have given up the ghost. Yes, it did. So anyway, I don't know if another question can come in. If anybody has one, let's see. And I'm not in the LinkedIn, I'm just in here. All right, we can hang out. All right, let me do a little commercial while we're waiting for Carlos's network to come back. Again, I'm Peter Schawaker, CEO, co-founder of Nearshore Cyber. Our website is at www.nearshorecyber.com.mx. We also have an online community on the Circle platform. There's a button you'll see at the top right that says join community or something like that. That will actually get you an invitation to join the community for free, for easy. I mean, it's all free. I don't charge for any of it, but it'll save you a couple of clicks. And when you get to that community, announce yourself. Like I said earlier, we're a community of about 2,070 something people from all parts of the industry, and some of them from outside of the industry. We have people there who just kind of like the folks that are in it, but there are folks who are new. There are people who are students. They're all the way up through like CEOs of companies and VCs and investors and people who've retired from cybersecurity. Like, there is a life after cyber and IT, and some of those people come back and they like to help, or at least see what's going on. So announce yourself there, and please participate in the community. And the way you do that is come to stuff and post and chat, right? Most of the posts that you will see there are my diary entries. I try and post every day. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's 3-4 times a week. But I try and keep that up. And when you read those posts, you will see that that's really just about what we're doing in the business, like what we're struggling with, what our successes are, what we have planned, what worked out, what didn't work out, announcements here and there. There's also a calendar. So the other way you get involved in our community is come to stuff. The regular events. Tuesday nights, we have, as I mentioned earlier, this thing called the Calling All Vibe Builders. That is designed along the lines of an old-fashioned Linux user group. Actually, some of them are still around, maybe not so old-fashioned. But in Linux user groups, like, people would show up and just like present on whatever they're working on. Most of the time, the thing they were presenting about was half finished. It wasn't complete works. it was something they were still working on. And so I'm just like talking about the events that we do and sort of vamping while your network came back. Don't know if you heard any of that. Yeah.
Peter, I don't know if you noticed, but there was a glitch here
Mm-hmm.
internally. Like I think I disappeared for a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It's really okay because the recording, we're just going to trim this out. Folks, if you're watching this live, please bear with us. It's technology. We are in Mexico. It's unpredictable. Sometimes it's just like, it's great. It works perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't. We just have
Well,
to live
I
with
got
it, right?
I got to tell you, my internet here is better than what I had in Brooklyn, and that's fine because I already have it. Look, one thing that people, a lot of, like, I think some of the people know, I'm really good at instant response. So we periodically play a game called Backdoors and Breaches, and it is like
Uh-huh.
it is mayhem when we do it right. Sometimes we have like 100 people show up. So yeah, no problem. We use the time well, but I'm ready for your wrap up, Carlos.
No, no, that's fine. Actually, I was about to do that to wrap up. I just wanted to thank you for having been with us on the show today. I know we went over, and like I said, we time flies when you're having fun. This is a great, great subject. And Peter, how can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you? How do you have a website or a LinkedIn profile that you want to
LinkedIn.
share?
Yeah, just look for my last name. I'm pretty easy to find on the internet.
Would that be? I think that's the one that we're
SCHAW.
displaying at the bottom, right?
Yeah, or go to www.nearshorcyber.com.mx, and there's like a submission form. And I'm
There you have it, folks, right there.
I've been accused of being an influencer. I'm just really good at marketing.
Well, you certainly sound like one, and consider me your fan going forward. So, Peter, it was great to have chatted with you today, and I sincerely look forward to more in the future. And please stay with me as we go off the air because I just want to mention something for you folks out there. Um, we're always looking for new faces of tech luminaries and business people in the tech biz world to come on board with us on the show. And I'm going to encourage you to stay tuned for the upcoming ones and this URL, advancio.com/tech-talks. There's a lot going on that we have coming up for you guys. A lot of surprises, a lot of really, really interesting guests, just like the one we had today, Mr. Peter Schawaker. Right? Did I say it right, Peter? Again?
You got it right. You said no one gets it wrong, but you got it perfect. I
There
appreciate
you
it.
go. I'm glad. I'm glad. Okay. Well, Peter, it was great having you on the show. Like I said, stick with me as we go over the air, and the rest of you guys, see you next time, right
Thanks,
here
everybody.
on Advancio Talks. Have a good day.